business everywhere is dependent on sales.
Right.
Right. But when you kind of shift some of that focus back to the client, right, and show them that they're important, and you before the property.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here in Neighborhood Loans, and we're back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. And today, this episode is a little bit crazy because we did this episode already. So we actually filmed this entire episode previously before, and then the audio got cut. And this was probably about 2-3 years ago, I think, that this happened. Something like that, right?
It was pandemic time, right?
Pandemic time, I think. And it was crazy. So maybe even more longer, maybe 4 years. But point being is that we're here, we're back. And a lot has changed. As you guys might know, 3 or 4 years changes a lot in life. And I am super excited to announce our guest. He's into new endeavors and a bunch of different things, bro. So if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Abraham Aguilera, man. I don't have a little cool sign on like
you. Good,
you gotta help me come up with one, man. But Abraham Aguilera, and co-founder of U Properties. We're
Nice.
We're in West Town, and it's not my first office. I had a real estate office I started previously, right as the pandemic was setting on.
Yeah.
Just now moving a different direction.
100%. 100%.
But yeah, I mean, we were just working and doing our thing. I'm still like, man, your sign on was dope. I'm like thinking like, man, I gotta come up with one.
Nah, you're good, bro. But let me get background on first on you. How did you guys come up with the name?
So, man, I don't know, man. I've had like a thing. Like I like to be creative. I'm always like watching, right?
Yeah.
And like you to be in business, right? I feel like this, right? I mean, obviously the way I've seen you build your business, which kudos to you.
Thank you, bro.
Been super wild since the first time we met to where you're at now. But you notice trends. Yeah. You notice what people like, what people don't like. And when with both firms, right? It's with any firm, loan shop, whatever, restaurant, I feel like a name has to be simple.
Yeah.
It has to be simple. It has to be marketable. Respect to those people that want to do, things like, Abraham Properties or whatever, right? But you got to kind of think sometimes like in terms of, man, what if this thing gets big, or when it gets big, like somebody going to want to buy Abraham Properties.
Right.
I don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe another guy named Abraham might throw guy somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, U Properties, I mean, it wanted to be simple. And the thing is, what I realized, right, with the first office, is that, it's about the client, right? And when you're facing the client, you're talking to them, it's about you, right? You, the client, you, the agent, right? Where a lot of firms, like, they're concerned about, numbers, and we should be, right? I mean, that's great. I mean, every business everywhere is dependent on sales, right? But when you kind of shift some of that focus back to the client, right, and show them that they're important, and you before the property is how we came up with that. I thought it was real cool when I walked in. You guys have on one of the coffee tables in the waiting room, Mahatma Gandhi, says a customer is the most important thing in a business, right? And it's true. Yeah. Without a customer, I mean, you don't have studio equipment, you don't have a nice conference room, 100%. Cereal in the cafeteria, you know what I'm saying?
Literally.
So it's you gotta be mindful of that. And that's how we came up with that. And it's just because at the end of the day, you have to make the client feel valued. One of my mentor, he always tell me that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And really cool. And that's kind of the approach that we try to take with the way we do business.
100%. 100%.
Mentor is Ralph Alvarado, by the way. Shout out
okay,
Ralph.
Yeah.
You know Ralph, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we came. That's what
I think I'm a firm believer in that, and I think one of the main things I wanted to try to inspire people is that, because I think a lot of people, when they get into any type of entrepreneurship, it is really hard to establish yourself. We were talking a little bit about that, like small businesses. When you first start, it's a pain in the ass to start up, finding the space. Once you find the space, you got to fill it up, furniture, things like that. And
people don't think about that stuff, bro.
The startup costs.
It's all fun. And everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to have your own business. And then, yeah, you sign your first lease. All right, boom. Clock starts ticking.
Right.
And then you start thinking of the other things you need, right?
Right.
Toilet paper, coffee, right? Paper towels, tables.
And you're buying that shit for your crib, but then you realize you actually got to buy it for the office.
Notes,
bigger,
right?
It's bigger, yeah.
It quickly gets crazy.
Yeah.
It quickly gets crazy. And so it's like, yeah, doing anything like worthwhile is going to be tough.
100%.
But.
Yeah. And that's why the one thing I could say that I would want to try to pass on to the average person that wants to start their own business or to the person that wants to take the risk is that people don't really care what you know until they know that you care. That's like the best quote, because I mean, you think about it. When I first got into business, I'm still young. I'm 26 years old, right? But I got in at
Crazy.
21 years old.
That's awesome, man.
And you think about it though, it's like, who in their right mind is going to trust a 21-year-old with one of the biggest purchases of their life?
See,
right?
And you know what? I used to get that same reaction. When I started real estate, I was 24, 25. Mm-hmm. And I get that all the time. Also, like, you and I, we have baby faces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You look like you be my primo, bro.
even nowadays, like I'm 35 now, right? And people, what do you know about commercial?
Right.
You're gonna sell this warehouse or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, like, look, listen, hey, don't discount me, man. Just give me like a few days. You'll see that that the last guy you dealt with wasn't whatever. But it's like we had like kind of like an uphill climb because of that.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to take those negatives and make them into positives, right? Well, okay, I am youthful, but I'm more more resourceful.
Yeah.
And I will run circles around
everybody
this old
else.
School guy that you think, has, that knows his things. But, and that's the other thing. Like, as a young guy, I'm sure you probably felt like this too. Like, you got to let people know, yeah, I'm young, but you'll still throw down. You know? Like,
no, I got a chip on my shoulder. Like, hey, the thing is, I think that, like you kind of talked about, is showing, number one, showing people that you care, but speaking with confidence, bro. Like, I've never walked into a situation where I'm sitting here, like, and it partially is because I had a really good mentor, right? Like, my mentor I always tell people, like, hey, maybe you might judge me for my age, but I got a mentor 20 years of experience. So I got 20 years of experience. Which is major key. So for me, it's like, hey, I got 20 years of experience. And, what do you mean you got 20 years of experience? I got my mentor, right? So my mentor is too busy for you. Maybe he's got his clientele, his things to do, but I'm going to bat for you. I will spend 24/7, access to me 24/7, and I'll get the answer that you want all the time that you want. And you say with confidence, bro. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand that, confidence is probably the number one key to entrepreneurship, bro. You say something with actual true strength, and you actually mean it. Like, you're going to go to bat for somebody. It's very hard for them not to trust you. But that's the number one part of sales, is getting trust,
Yes, but the other thing with that is, I mean, you, right from when I met you, I mean, you were confident, but you also had good knowledge. Like knowledge that was like, okay, like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Right. Like, it's not just like a confident goofy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those nowadays, you know? And it's wild, but you could tell that you've done your reading,
right?
And that you had somebody like helping you in your corner,
100%.
Which I thought was very cool.
100%. And I think I want to dive a little bit deeper. Obviously, a lot has changed over the last couple of years. You had one business, you opened up another business, and it's hard for people to let alone do one thing, right? Like, first off, it's hard to be a real estate agent. But then to transition to open up your own brokerage and then to start another brokerage, what continues to drive you, number one? And, like, what's the hardest thing that you've learned from each and every single one of parts of your journey, whether it be, I know you're in, like, real estate, you would flip a lot of homes and stuff like that. What is the number one thing that drives you, and how did you learn to continue to drive yourself even though you got 5 other things that are happening at once?
Man, well, to be honest, like, a lot of the drive was, like, just growing up, how we grew up, right? Immigrant parents, first generation, right? Like, I mean, they came here for something else, right? And your parents, they just want you to be better than they were, right? And growing up here, well, you have this, you grew up with internet, you know English and blah, blah, blah. you know, like that's always in your mind. You know, some people might call it trauma or what. Like, oh, you know, I think is, I just think like it just makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like lions in the wild, gorilla. I mean, that's all they do is look out after their babies after they're young.
Right.
You know, so why would it be different for parents to do it? And the thing is, you know, we forget that, you know, a lot of what our parents did for us, like it's like, you know, just you know, to keep you on the right track, keep you out of trouble. You know, so it's like in a way, like right, driven by a lot of that, a lot of the family, friends, right, people that I meet, like you know, it's like you hear this all the time. Like it's getting harder and harder to buy a house, getting harder and harder, like groceries, inflation, all this stuff, right? Interest rates, the government policies, whatever. But it's like I think on like sincerely feel that what we do, right, is really a pathway to freedom. Yeah. You know, owning stuff, properties, right? Like the way money moves through the economies, right? Micro, macro, whatever you know what I mean? It's like and I get it all the time. People are, hey man, like how's real estate? I'm thinking about leaving my job and whatever and maybe do, and of course I'm sure you get that a lot too, but not everybody's gonna do it. But you know what? Hey, there was a time that I wanted out and I took a leap and I just committed and I did it, right? And to help some of these folks find that is very rewarding. You know, it does feel good, right? When somebody's able to buy a new car or a new place, right? Because little tips and tricks you showed them, how to fix their credit, or hey, look, this is the plan. Like, look, this is all you have. You can work with that. Right. It's not gonna be a sexy house,
right?
You know what I mean? But that's not the point,
right?
You know, think about your very first house that you lived in with your parents,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, and the goal is you keep working, right, towards, you know, being better in self-improvement. And I mean, another driving factor is that,
right?
You know, just being a better you today than you were yesterday.
Right.
Always learning, always investing in yourself, reading books. I read, check the news, right? You check all the news sources. There's a lot of BS out there.
What's your favorite book?
Favorite book?
Yeah. Man,
there's a few. There's a few favorite books. But the first one that got me, like, kind of, like, changed my mindset was, I know everybody says, like, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and, like, Think and Go Rich. For me, it was a book called The 5 Lessons a Millionaire Taught Me. And that was, like, that's what, like, this was a game changer.
Right,
you know?
right.
I think I was, like, in high school or something when I read that. I was
yeah.
like, wait, what? And it was very simple, very easy read. If any of your audience want to check it out, 5 Lessons a Millionaire Taught Me.
What was probably, like, the number one thing that you learned from the book?
Man, well, there was a few things, right? But one thing that, like, is very easy, right, that to start was, like, it starts talking about, like, the nest egg, you know, and a lot of people don't know what a nest egg is,
right.
You know, and that's really, you could just start $5 at a time, $10, whatever. Oh, I found it, $20 on the floor. Boom, here it is. I know it's harder to find money on the floor nowadays, yeah, right. You know, with all this digital shit, but that's the point, right? And it's like just remembering to kind of invest in yourself, right? And that was it's not hard to do, but with everything people have going on, a lot of people, you know, they put themselves last. You know, people paycheck to paycheck and stuff like that, and
yeah,
and even, man, seems like it's like that, like at many different levels. You know, seen people making some serious money that I'm like, they're in panic sometimes. I'm like, hey, what do you?
100%.
Yeah, I was like, man.
Well, it's true. I think the second book you said that was actually the first book that opened my Think and Grow Rich, dude. That's like a very easy book, very easy read, but within the first like 5 pages of the book, I got it. Like, first 5 pages, I was like, oh shit, I know what the secret sauce to life is, bro. It's desire, it's hunger, it's grind, it's grit. Like the first 5 pages, I'm like, oh shit, that's it. I just gotta want it. Like,
you know what I thought was crazy about that is that, like, it said a lot, right? But but you for a little while, like, what are you saying? Like,
yeah.
Just spit it out. Yeah. You know?
Like, I want to know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. But then it's like,
yeah,
it's
no.
not that hard.
I mean, I think, you know, yeah, like you said, I think when you're going through your type of grind, your type of journey, it's exactly what you said. A lot of people have this mindset where, it's tough, bro. Don't get me wrong. Like, my parents, the one thing that I have the privilege of that I can truthfully say changed my life is seeing the lineage of my grandparents to my parents and then to myself. Seeing how my grandparents did everything for my parents. As much as they possibly could, they sacrificed everything so that my parents can live a little bit of an easier life. And then my parents, same thing. They did everything so that I could live a little bit of an easier life. And the privilege of that is that it teaches you to see, like, how much effort and how much work they put in to make it a little bit easier for me. And to waste that was the biggest disrespect and dishonor to my grandparents and to my parents.
Facts.
And that's, for me, was like, when I read that book, the first thing I thought of was like, okay, desire, hunger, grit, grind. Oh, shit. What did my grandparents do? What did my parents do? They never complained. Like, it didn't matter if they were living off 30 grand a year. Like, it did not matter what they were making. They were pay their bills on time. They would get everything they need, and they would make sure we had food on the table every single day.
I think that's very important too. Like, I think that we got from our folks is that old school like that, there was like no excuses.
Right.
I get it. Mental health and things like that are like a big thing, like big topics nowadays. We've learned a lot in the last how many years, but the fact that there was no time, you know what I mean, to talk about how we felt and stuff like that,
100%.
which I think it's cool that people can talk about it now. But that's how I grew up, you know. And it's funny you say about the grandparents. I wish I could say the same thing about my grandparents. I mean, both of my grandfathers were, pretty old school mean. Yeah. You know, both of my grandmas very loving, like cared about the kids and tried to move things forward. But the funny thing, my grandpa on my dad's side, he used to build, he was a bricklayer in Mexico. And then, as a kid, you don't really care about your family history. You don't think about it. But then I learned that he got good as a bricklayer and eventually started building houses in Mexico, in Irapuato, Guanajuato. Yeah. And he started building houses and buildings. And just actually in May, I had to go to Phoenix to visit family. And, just chopping it up with the family, my tias and my tios and all that, like my dad's sisters, siblings, right? I learned that my grandpa built like a 33-unit like apartment building in Mexico, and it's still there. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. And I mean, then my father, like, they came to Mexico. They came from Mexico. My father started doing construction with Turner Construction, big, like, construction company. Yeah. So I'm like, man, like, I feel like I got to do something like that, Yeah. And kind of give you ideas. And that's how I got into, like, some of the flipping and things like that. But were my grandparents, like, my grandfather's, like, always the best example? No, but, like, there's that.
Right, right. Know? But at the end of the day, like, I think it's just in your DNA, your nature. Like, it's within your family bloodline to just work hard. And I think
just build shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, fuck it, bro. Like, not to build shit necessarily, but to just grind it out, bro. Like, I think that there's certain families that you can honestly say you look at and you're like, you could turn shit into something.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of, like, the Latino culture. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's
today's
our
Mexican
culture.
Independence Day.
Yeah,
I was talking to we were talking with the cousins in the group chat. Yeah. Shout out the chat. Somebody asked, like, oh, like, what's your favorite thing about being Mexican, right? It's like, it was like a general question to everybody. Yeah. But people don't realize, like, man, the culture, like, they've been building things since, like, Aztec, Mayan times, like, stuff like that. Mexico's just rich with entrepreneurship. Yeah. And it's like some of, like in the hotels, like, services, just hustling. Yeah. Just give me the hours, give me the, we're and then they take that money and reinvest it, stuff like that. It's like there's been no excuses.
Right, right. And it's all, like you said, it goes back to being a mindset, bro. There's some people that I think, when we're kind of talking about, and kudos to you, bro, because that's, I want to circle back everything to where you started in your journey. From what it sounds like, real estate kind of blew up for you, and obviously now you're in the position where you're at. I want to kind of get a little bit from the beginning of your journey, because from the last time we spoke, it's been a long time. You first started in real estate. You kind of got into real estate flips, development a little bit, and then obviously your production was like, all right, I got to start my own brokerage. If you want to share your story, how you got to it within real estate, what was your first transaction, your first flip? How did you get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm gonna become an agent. Then I'm starting to do flips, and then I'm, opening up my own brokerage, which is it's an honor to say.
Man, well, all right, we're taking it back to the beginning. I was working at T-Mobile USA, corporate T-Mobile, and I mean at that time, I was like 18. I started. I was at UIC, and was commuting. At that time, I was living in the burbs, like in Frankfurt, and so I was driving from Frankfurt to the city, UIC, and then the first T-Mobile store I worked at was Riverside Mall in North Riverside, right? So I take 290, then there, Riverside, work, then shoot straight down Harlem or LaGrange to get back home.
Yeah.
So I knew at T-Mobile I learned sales, and then eventually met a first mentor, big bro Jose, now business partner at you.
Nice.
And he started doing sales, and I guess I had some potential, and he's like, hey man, like, you know what, like, I'll help you out, want to do some sales and whatever. And okay, got good at it, really good. And we were competing, friendly competitions, it's always been like us, right? And fast forward, we got on a management track to get promoted and things like that, climb the corporate ladder, things like that. Yeah. We got good at it. We're eventually get promoted, changing around stores. Then my job was to go around failing stores in the red, all KPIs, metrics, just shitty. Mm-hmm. Theft, employees like stealing time, like customers stealing, like it's just everything, just bad scheduling issues. And so figured out the secret sauce to turning around these stores, and stores that we would go to together and then even separate, would turn them around, bring them from the bottom of the barrel to the top, like number one in the district out of like maybe like 10, 15 stores at sometimes 5 stores, depending. The districts were smaller, bigger, like depending on what area. So I got all these skills, right? Learned these skills while a lot of friends were going to college. I ended up dropping out UIC, right? And felt like the biggest loser was my parents and Mexican parents.
Yeah,
oh my God, like, you let us down. You were supposed to go to college and get a degree. This is what your dad worked for this whole time. I was like, oh, I'm like, hey, but I'm making good money at T-Mobile, At the time, man, I'm what, 22, 23.
How'd you get around that though?
Like, no, I was like 19, 20, 21. But I was making really good money.
But how'd you all right, I don't give a fuck. Like, how'd you get around that mentally, at least?
Well, for a while, I was in my head about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say I was depressed or anything like that, but I was like, damn, like I let these people down, like they've been like looking out and, oh, we're going to move out here. You got to go to a better school and whatever. You can't get in trouble. And my pops, he'd always be like, I give you the tools, I give you a library card. If you need to learn something, you go to the library, tell your mom to take you. She'll take you at any time, and like he'd get mad that we wouldn't go to the library.
Yeah.
Like, got you guys internet, and you guys this is when like MySpace was coming out, Facebook, and like cause we're all chatting on there and shit, right? Yeah. And he's like, give you guys the internet, and like, there's so much information on there, and you guys are just chatting, sending pictures to each other. And I was like, damn, like there is a lot of information on here. Yeah. The funny thing is, because he was never really a tech guy himself, my pops, right? My dad. But he understood like just the power of the internet.
Right.
Right? Like just how much information. So I'd start browsing like, all right, news and whatever and cool things, right, happening. And then what I started doing was, a lot of these books that I want to read or whatever, like I can get like summaries and stuff. So I learned sales, psychology, lot of human relationships, sociology, things, all these things, right? That like when you get down, right, think about sales, like when you're talking about people, relationships, a mindset, right? Of like people shopping, people going out. Some people shop for necessities. Some people shop for therapy. Some people shop for, just to feel good, right? Just to get out of the house, right? You start to understand your customer, right? It just improves those engagements.
Right.
So backtrack, right? I drop out of college. I'm like, well, you know what? The reason I dropped out, I failed calculus. and it shit pissed me off because in high school, I was always in advanced classes.
Yeah.
I was in most of the time in advanced classes, college level classes, college prep, stuff like that, and they would tell us, oh, if you take this class, it'll be less classes you have to take in college. You won't have to you won't have to test out of algebra 2 and trig. You won't have to, take calculus if you do this.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Sign me up. I always wanted like to get ahead and do more than I had to. So like senior year, because I had done so much, like taking the 0-hour classes, like freshman year, like summer school, just to knock out credits.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to be on easy street by the time I, get to be senior year. So my senior year, me and the homie, my guy Adam, and helped him buy a beautiful building, but we used to get out at 10 in the morning, and go hang out. Just get in a little trouble, but that was because you put in all the credits up front. Right. So that's what I was trying to do at UIC. And I get to UIC and they're like, oh, okay. So I'm talking to the counselor or whatever. All right, we're picking classes and all that shit. And I'm like, oh, she's like, okay, so we're going to add on calculus. No, I already took calculus in high school, and I hated calc. I've never really been like that kind of advanced math guy.
Right.
Like, give me the simple stuff that's necessary for life.
Right.
And some geometry because I like building shit,
Yeah.
But I ended up having to take calculus and I was arguing with them. I'm like, I already took it. Here's my thing. Like they told me like public schools, like, UIC's public. Well, oh, sorry, we just changed that this last year.
No.
We just changed that. And that's when I started thinking like, is this shit a scam or what? Obviously, it's not a scam, but I started getting angry.
Yeah.
I started getting angry. Like, what do you mean I got to do this shit again and waste more time?
Right.
When I purposely try to knock this out in high school.
Right.
So.
That's actually important though, because like that, at your age, bro, you learn the value of time.
So well, in a way,
yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that. But I was just like irritated. So then I started working at T-Mobile. One of my friends, his brother was working at T-Mobile. He had 2 phones, brand new Infinity, nice car, always had nice clothes. I'm like, man, this guy, they gotta be making money at T-Mobile. So I asked him. He's like, oh yeah, sales, man, like it's commissions and blah blah. So that's how I got the job at T-Mobile. And then during that time, like, a little while, because I was like 18, 19. So when I think I dropped out, like I was like 19, and then I was at T-Mobile. And that's how, I started self-educating. That's when the psychology, sociology, all this like human relationships, like understanding like how the mind works, right? And for sales, right? Because I'm not trying to be like a master villain or anything, right? But it's just like you understand like before somebody tells you what they need, you start understanding what they need,
right?
Because not everybody's gonna be a great communicator.
Right.
So you kind of have to pull these questions out, right? Just like as I'm sure you have to do with 100%. The loans. Like, hey, well, what do you need? Where do you want to live? Like, well, is the kid's school important? Things like that, right? Because people don't know what they know, what they don't know, right?
Right.
So anyway, back to how this happened with real estate stuff is got good at sales at T-Mobile, climbed the corporate ladder. And then one time, friend of mine there, he wanted to take Christmas off to go on vacation, and they said no, you can't, because that's blackout period and you can't take vacations, like, and you're salaried. And that just somehow, like, it's a little seed that just grew and grew and grew. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not gonna be able to take a vacation when it's fucking Christmas time and New Year's? And even before it was a problem for me personally, it started like getting the wheels. I'm like, yo, this is like, I had like, I don't want to say a panic attack, but I'm like, oh wow,
that's fucked up.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like, I don't even want that next position.
Yeah. So
then I start planning an exit. I'm like, well, where can I put my skills to work? Like, I know people, I know sales, I know construction a little bit, right? I start buying the house process to buy a house. I was like 21, and I had the money. I had money saved. I was making good money, but what I didn't have was credit. I had zero credit because I didn't have anything in my name at that time. You know, everything that I would buy was under my parents' name, and I'd pay them.
Yeah.
Because credit was bad. Credit was evil. If you get credit cards, you're gonna go in debt. You're gonna go bankrupt, and you'll be broke and never be able to get. Swear to God, that's what it was. Yeah. And I go to buy a house, and they're like, "Oh well, hey man, you make great money. Oh, you got good money saved. Good job. You know, a lot of people your age, blah 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 blah." But your credit, you need to work on your credit. I was like, "Shit, well, where do I begin?" And I started doing more research. You know, like. Of course, like they try to tell you, would you all get a credit card? But all right, fine. You figure out how some of these like credit rating algorithms work. You start figuring out like what looks good to lenders and things like that. So before I'm even involved in the real estate game, I'm trying to buy this house and understand what I have to do so that I can buy my house and then leave my job, because then I wouldn't qualify.
Right.
So I bought my first house over by like Midway area. 71st and Pulaski behind Saca Tacos, and I bought that first house, and you know, it was funny. The funny thing is, I was house shopping, and I was taking my dad, right?
Yeah, he
bought a house,
construction, right?
And construction guy, like I said, superintendent, Turner Construction, working on projects like for Northwestern Hospital, surgical rooms, and Microsoft, like a lot of like data centers and things like. So he's doing high level construction, and he's a perfectionist, right? So I'm like, you know, I got this guy. All right, he's gonna let me know what I need. But every house was what happened. What ended up happening was every house we went to. Oh, it's got this wrong with it. Oh, it needs it. I'm like, man. And it wasn't until one time, I'm in my barber's chair getting a haircut. Shout out Nieves. From How to Fade Hair School. But I was in the chair, and he's like, "Hey man, how's it going with the house hunting?" I'm like, "Oh man, it's all right. You know, it's kind of tough. Like I didn't think it was gonna like
be this hard.
It's like, well, what's tough about it?" And I'm like, "Man, all these houses need work." Mind you, I'm not a real estate agent at this point. I'm still working at T-Mobile. He's like, "What do you mean? They're all gonna need work? Of course they're gonna need work. All these they're all old houses. Like, just buy one already." And I'm like, shit, like he's right. So the next few showings, like almost like immediately that next few showings, I didn't take my dad no more. I ended up making an offer on a house that needed work, and I just did the process, closed. Didn't tell my dad anything until I closed. And I guess my mom told me later that she was like, "Yeah, your dad was like a little salty that you didn't include him." I was like, "Man, well, look, it's not that I didn't want to, but you just kept saying that everything needed work." And then sure enough, I closed. We go to the house. He goes, "Man, well, look at this." And he's like, "You bought a fucked up house."
Yeah.
I'm like, damn.
Like, fuck. And they made you all scared and shit.
Like, damn. Like, I have to demo this bitch, you know? No, but it wasn't like that, right? So I'm like, you know what? Well, whatever, it is what it is. We got to get to. But at that time, what was funny is I kind of had like a loose idea of comps.
Right.
So, because this was 2014, I think it ended up. No, 2013. So, I was working at a bank when I was 17 in high school. And that was during the big crash, 2008, leading up to the crash.
Yeah.
And I remember as a teller, selling checking accounts. I was making a lot of money selling checking accounts and like savings accounts. So that was actually my first sales job, like my first real sales job before T-Mobile. But people were coming into the bank, freaking out. They wanted to take their money out because of the crash. And I was kind of like, where's this coming from? I was trying to understand this. But anyway, back to the house. I had bought the house, and I saw that like before the crash, these houses in this area were selling for a lot more.
Yeah.
But you remember, I mean, now you know your research, right? You know that these houses, they were expensive
before, but they're cheap now.
And now they're super cheap. So I'm like, okay, so at this point, this house was worth this much at this time, one time. But now I'm getting it for this much. So like, it looks like things are trending up because last year houses were. So, and I'm doing this off of like some of the apps that are out there. And
they're like older.
And they're like, you know, so I'm like, so that's how I bought my first house.
Yeah.
And that was the first time doing comps with no knowledge of fucking.
And I can honestly say, bro, like, well, number one, I think one thing that I want to point out is number one, sales, bro. I think a lot more young people need to at least get some sort of sales experience.
I think everyone should do sales.
And I think you should at least see the experience of it, because like you said, it teaches you human psychology. It teaches you just personal relationships, like how to be able to talk to individuals and just have certain conversations that you probably wouldn't have had. Yeah. Like a sales that actually opens up doors where, you know, you're one conversation away from becoming a millionaire. Like straight up, like you are one person away from opening a door that you ain't never thought 100%. You would be open. And you know, the one crazy part about sales is you're always going to start from zero. And I love that shit, because you could choose how much and dictate what you want, what your outcome is. But the one thing that I will say, that the more people that I talk to, the more successful people that I talk to, the three things that I can honestly say that every single one of them has is their discipline. They have a strong desire to win. And the third one is probably going to be really super, super important, is that no matter what obstacles in front of them, they always found a way to win. Yeah. Like it was just it's like almost a distinct trait within individuals who just really want to be successful in their career, that they're willing to risk anything to be able to continue to succeed, to continue to win. And you know, you're kind of looking at your jumping career paths, and what's ironic about it is that every single job that you did, it sounds like you were pretty successful in every single career path that you went through. But it's because you have the strong will, you have the desire to be able to be great in the industry that you're in, you know? Yeah,
man. Once you decide like that you can't fail, you just you won't, because you won't take losses. You just take lessons.
Right.
And I think that's important, right? So then when I bought this house, you know, like I said, like I felt like at the time, I'm like, man, did I take a loss, right? Because my dad's like disqualifying the house and whatever, but got to work remodeling the kitchen, and I'm like, this was kind of like now like college part 2. College part 1 was T-Mobile, learning how to run a business, how to run a Fortune 500 company, how to coach and lead people, how to you know, tweak the numbers, what the KPIs mean, how they're dependent of each other, things like that, right? The networking that you sometimes have to go do. So then that was college part 1. College part 2 is now rehabbing houses, and I'm learning that on the job. I'm doing my own thing, doing my own shopping, you know, doing my own framing, my own carpet install. You know, of course, like my father helped, my brother helped, you know, girlfriend helped at the time. Like it's just like, but it's like, you know, hands-on training. And then from there, you know, decided, back to the story, right? Decided to leave T-Mobile, right? But now I had this house I was working on, so I had to be an agent. Had some savings saved up just in case I don't sell anything, but can't be an option. So then I go to work and meet my mentor. And like you said, learn the discipline part. 40 hours, you treat it like a job. Every day you're going to talk to how many people? You know this.
Yeah.
I talk to how many people, meet how many people, give out this many business cards, you know, call expireds, call for sale by owners. Started flipping for sale by owners to listings. At the time, I think like at the office, like I was doing like most of those, like or more than a lot of those folks, like at the office. So you just learn trial and error, and then eventually end up winning a top producer award for units sold. And I'm like, okay, like, all right, this is taking shape, you know, and start flipping more houses. Then I end up selling my first house, walked away with like 35 G's from that house.
Yeah.
Start buying.
That's like a drug, bro.
Right. I was like, I'm looking at the check like,
what
30. The funny thing is, you know, like when I sold it, all right, took 35 G's and I paid my dad back because he kind of helped me with some shopping, and then obviously for like helping me fix stuff. He was like, you know, it's his time, his weekends and stuff like that. So I gave him, I cut him a check. He's like, nah, it's too much. I'm like, man, just take it. I feel like I'm onto something here. I still got some more left over. I walked away with more than I went in, you know. I'm like, all right. So, but I'm like, all right, now where am I going to find houses for, you know, under 20 G's or whatever? Found them. Like, I know wholesaling is like a big thing now, but in a way I was finding these off-market discounted properties, but I wasn't doing the contract thing. I was closing on them. I was buying them, closing them. And in the first house, actually, I forgot that. I was doing the house hacking thing before it was cool, before it was a thing.
Yeah.
I rented out a couple bedrooms, and it was a cool setting, some family members in there, my brother, cousin, like, and they're renting. And for the rent price they were getting, you're not going to find that anywhere else.
Right.
But we had fun. Yeah. We were like, hanging out, and it was a big help for me too. Right. And it gave them like experience of like, living on their own and things like that. So that was cool. But start shopping for houses with my proceeds, and I start buying houses, houses in challenging areas. Yeah.
How was that?
Man.
Yeah,
man, that was a weird time. And I, looking back, I'm like, man, like like I'm walking into houses by myself, right? I'm by myself. Sometimes there's people in these houses, like I'm walking through syringes on the floor, bullets, like just straight like bullets on the floor. I'm like, shit, like, like
that's what's going
on. You see paraphernalia, just of all kinds and stuff. A property I bought, like 2 dead dogs, like very sad. Yeah. Felt bad. Ended up, burying them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, man. It's like you see a lot of like
how people are living, bro. Like
a lot of how people are living, but then like a little bit of evil too.
Yeah.
Because you see what like people are doing with some of these houses, right?
Yeah.
And some of these neighborhoods, man, like swear to God, like some of the saddest shit I've seen is you go to a house that's supposed to be vacant, and I mean I came up with this whole formula like for safety. Of course you can't not like ever plan 100% for safety and all that, but you do what you can to minimize like risk, right? But I'm in these neighborhoods, these houses are supposed to be vacant sometimes. You get there and there's like 4 kids like living in there. It must be like a 10-year-old like little girl like carrying like a 2-year-old maybe, like I'm like, where's your parents? I don't know. I'm like, what? Like sad, bro. Like I don't even want to be here. I don't even want to buy this house.
Right.
Fuck. And then somewhere down the street somebody's coming like, hey, what you doing here? Man, I just came to see this house. Like, like there's some kids in there. Yeah, it's my little cousins. Like, oh damn, what? But then the house, like, that's one thing, right? The kids alone in the house. But then the house,
it's beat up,
garbage everywhere. You can't see the floor. Sad. It's very sad. It's just like when you think about like, I don't know, man. Like this business, like it's also like it reminds you that not everybody's fortunate. Not everybody can, grew up a certain way. And this is still going on today, man. There's like stuff like that. But I mean, you move on, right? Because I don't know what's going on. I don't want to have to kick these kids out and things like that, right? So I just move on to the next house. I've been broken into many times. People have stolen copper, appliances, furnaces, like everything, anything you could think of. Like they've stolen. I've found a lot of cool shit in these houses. Old school record players, old school records, jewelry, money, cool knives, firearm one time, you know?
Yeah.
Just call the cops. Hey, I just bought this house. There's there's a
there's a strap in here, bro.
There's something in here, I don't want to touch it. All right, cool. They come pick it up, we get back to work.
Right.
Some of these neighborhoods, man, I had a property in Little Village, a 3-unit. I'm doing a complete tear off. Like you're on the third, and the attic, you can see daylight. There's no roof. The top is gone, and we're up there working, and pop, 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 pop. Right below on the corner. I'm second building on the corner, and just pop, pop. I'm like, just look down and see them running around like, oh my God.
Oh hell
it's
no.
crazy. But you learn a lot, and money was made every time. Thankfully, but it's had squatters. And
you're resilient, bro. You
just gotta deal with it, But I didn't have to wait for the whole eviction process. I'll tell you that. You know?
You find a way, bro.
You get lucky, maybe, you know. But things happen. You know what? But the thing is, too. I think any landlords out there for evictions, right? You negotiate. You try to negotiate.
Yeah.
You know, if negotiating doesn't work, well, I mean, you always try that first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Before maybe you start the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, you wanna.
What's your process?
You wanna do things the right way, you know, and you know, just make sure, because you know, fair is fair, right? But
yeah, I agree, bro. Yeah.
But yeah, squatters, man, rodents that people like tenants have like
That's
dealt
fucking
with,
crazy,
like,
bro. Yeah, I mean, you don't kind of think like, how the fuck people live like that, bro?
And you know what? And it's not just like, you know, like certain place. Man, I was looking to buy a nice townhome by University of Chicago.
Yeah.
Beautiful townhouse. In a row, all the townhouses beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully landscaped, nice brick. You could, like, they weren't that old. I go open this townhouse, the door, and I'm like getting ready to walk in, and like little shit's falling. I'm like, what the hell is this? You know, it's like roaches.
Nah.
Roaches, like little bugs. And then I look, bro, it was disgusting. Just thinking about it makes me like itchy, man. Like, there was, and it wasn't just roaches, man. It was everything, like ants, centipede, spiders, like just maybe like per like 3-4 square inches.
Damn, what the fuck?
Like had to be like 50 insects, like in this like little. And so, but the numbers on the place were great.
Yeah,
they were good. So I'm like, man, like, you know what? I'll bomb this place, like get it. Bombing,
yeah,
mean,
with
like,
the insects,
with the insect stuff,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, not like the no
Yeah.
dangerous shit like that. But and I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna check this place out, because man, there could be bed bugs and whatever and shit you don't want to bring home or in your car.
Right.
So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I want to see this place, but I can't walk in like this.
Yeah.
You know. So I run to Home Depot. I get like one of the little white suits, the little hazmat, like kind of that.
Yeah.
You know, glasses, the masks, and then I buy, I think it was 3 or 4 of the Raid bombs. You know, and I went in. I put them in my pockets, like right, like. And I went in there because that same day, and I went in there, and man, it felt like I don't know, like a Navy SEAL or something, because like you just go in there like, and I'm like, all right, it's not on the market, so I know I'm not getting a lot of competition. Many times when I'm looking at these properties, I'll sit outside for like 30 minutes to an hour just to see who comes up, right? Because at different times, right? Because if there's any type of activity, you're gonna see 1 or 2 people there, like, you know. So I go bomb the place. There was 3 floors, so from the top to bottom, running through the kitchen, and everywhere was just disgusting, bro. Like bugs everywhere. Up top floor. Oh, but before that, I scoped the place out, and I saw that there was like a back exit, like on the 3rd floor to the balcony.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm planning my route. You know, I'm like, all right, I'm going to walk in through here. I'm going to run upstairs and, you know, bomb the place. And then I'll leave there. And then I'll lock the door. I'll just lock the door as soon as I come in. So that's what I did. I ran up, set the bombs everywhere. And then I'm like, all right, you know, follow the time. Like, I'll be back in a few days.
Yeah.
And I came back. Most of the stuff was dead, but there's still a lot of shit crawling around. But it was way better than
so at that point, you hired somebody? Like, did you...
Well, if I would have bought it, yeah. So I went under contract on it. I was trying to buy it. And at that time, there was something going on with title. And it wasn't getting cleared. And I always do my DD, my due diligence, right? On, you know, making sure things are clean. If I'm buying something with a water bill or a tax bill, like, I know what I'm getting into, right? So but title wasn't being cleared, and it was like 1 month passed by, 2 months passed by, 3 months, and then now I'm like, well, I need to move this money somewhere else, right? You know, so we had to cancel that. But the crazy thing is, what I was gonna say is, so there's a nice neighborhood, nice townhouse, beautiful, like nice fixtures and everything. I talked to the neighbors. Hey, what's up with this house? You know, like, oh yeah, they just moved out last week. I'm like, they just moved out last week. Like when I after I did the bombing, you know, like I was the insect bombing. I'm like, they just moved out last week. So people were living in here.
That's fucked.
Just like gross with kids.
That's fucking horrible.
With kids,
bro.
man.
And you know, the one thing I say is like, there's a theory that, you know, if you were to take all the money in the world, put it in a box, and then you give everybody the same amount of money, it would redistribute evenly. And the reason why I bring that up is because one thing I'm hearing from you, bro, is that you're very curious, right? And you're very eager to learn. And that is probably your biggest strong suit. You're willing to take risk in different areas because you're curious. You want to figure out, like, how can I make money in this? How can I better myself? How can I X, Y, and Z? And every avenue that you kind of went through, right? Like, that has been the true distinguisher. And I think what has been able to build what you've been able to build thus far, and in every single aspect, every career that you've been through, is that you're willing to learn. You're willing to take the risk, and just being able to listen, bro. Like, that's a lost trade, bro.
Listening,
that's a lost trade.
Key.
Listening to, just hearing people and learning from other people's experience. Like, it's dope to hear this shit, because like my brain and my mind is the first thing I'm thinking of is all the stuff that you're doing when it comes to flips and all this shit. I'm like, okay, I'm imagining myself in a house doing this. Da da da. Is that the risk that I want to take? How much did he make? Da da da. Like, my mind is already thinking of 5 different things off the conversation that we're having, and I encourage people to like visualize yourself in other people's experiences, because then you can kind of dictate whether or not that's something that you want to do, right? Like, like I'm like, ah, fuck, do I want to go through a hazmat suit to do this and da da da? How much do you make? Oh, you made $100,000. Oh, actually, maybe I will go through a hazmat suit. I'll go to go, you know, like.
The cool thing about that too is, right, when you weigh it out,
right?
You know, sometimes like, you know, like, all right, I mean, everybody makes a determination of at what point is it worth it for you, you know, like, all right, are you gonna drive, you know, to the other side of town during rush hour for, you know, I don't know, right, for the client that, so it just depends, right? Like, I mean, there's efficient ways to doing things, right? So that's what I started doing, and you know, before I decided to open up my first brokerage, but other things, I bought places, buildings sight unseen, just like do an outside assessment, run some numbers, and you don't know what you're walking into. That's fucking
crazy, dude. That's dope.
So one of them was over like 67th and LaSalle, just right off the E-way, and it was nuts because, like, all right, I go and I close. I'm excited as shit. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go buy this place, and I just got the keys and whatever. I walk in, everything's fine. I'm like, man, grand slam, like, hell yeah, you know. And I get to the top floor. Second floor is a 2-unit with a basement. Get to the second floor, and I look at the floor, and I see sunlight, like a ray of sunlight, probably as big as this circle thing right here. A ray of sunlight. I'm like, where the hell is that come? You look up, big hole in the roof, big massive hole in the roof. That you look closer, there's mushrooms growing, like little fungus, like yeah, it looked like a little tiny little forest, like in the middle of the carpet there, and I'm like I still can't figure out how that hole got there, because, and I think about it sometimes, it was a huge hole, like, and it looked
perfect
like
circle too,
it
right?
looked like a meteor came through the thing or something, but then it just stopped right there, like, you know. So it's funny as hell. I brought my dad. Well, at that time, I was like, hey, I need to borrow your pickup. I went home, and I'm like, all right, let me start getting to work on this place. It was overgrown, a lot of vegetation and like grass and bullshit garbage. I'm like, I go and say, hey, Dad, like, let me borrow your pickup. You know, I'm gonna borrow the lawnmower or whatever, and the weed whacker. He's like, for what? It was a Sunday morning, and he's like, for what? Where you going? I'm like, well, this building I just bought. I'm gonna go, you know, go mess with it. You know. He's like, oh, Well, I'm not doing anything, you know. Like, what if I come with you? I'm like, nah, you don't have to. Go ahead, chill, and watch the game or whatever, you know. Nah, it's fine. I'll go with you. I think it was him being curious. Like, what the hell is this dude up to, you know? So I went. We went. All right, cool. I start cutting the grass, start cutting the whatever, and he's like, hey man, let's go see inside. I'm like, I don't want to show you, you know. I know he's gonna talk shit, you know. So whatever, we go inside, and oh man, it looks pretty nice. Oh wow, this is cool, man. Oh, good job. Get to the second floor. Oh wow, how are you gonna fix that? You know, he starts talking shit like, you. What do you mean you didn't see it before you bought it? You know, what do you mean? Like, and I'm like, I mean, the numbers were good. Like, you know, this shit happens sometimes. Whatever, you know, it's what they do. I'm just trying to play it cool. But I'm like, damn, like, what am I gonna do here? You know?
Yeah.
This was before I knew what a total roof job cost.
Right.
So like the Little Village one, like that came after this.
Yeah.
So, I was like, man, don't worry about it. Like, I'll figure it out. Like, it's gonna be fine. Like that's nothing. You know? The whole time I'm like I don't know how I'm gonna fix that. You know? And then the floor was warping on the right there on the floor. So. Long story short, did a little bit of stuff to it. Never ended up fixing the roof, and I sold it like that with a big hole in the roof.
Yeah.
And I made a lot more than what I bought it for. You know, just kind of just reselling it like that. And I don't think if I put $1,000 into that place, it was too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but if you
thing.
do your underwriting properly, which I learned how to do some good underwriting, and I do when I do my numbers, I'm like very conservative with them, you know. But then that's how like part of that flipping stuff was, and I haven't done too much of it since I got back into into owning, like, into having a firm, right? But I want to get back into it. I mean, some of the funnest stuff to do, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, despite all the goofy stuff that can happen, I think it's fun. I think it's exciting, you know. Just, you know, you take a good calculated risk, and then I mean, it's enjoyable for me. And then that eventually, like I said, after I won one of the top producer awards, I'm like, you know what, maybe I could have my own office. And then that's when I got to work and planning like an office.
And how hard has that transition been, like, to open up your own brokerage?
Man, you know what, like, the process itself is not super tough. The tough part is the doing all the shit that's not fun for me, which is the operations, the paperwork, the auditing, all the compliance stuff that you have to do with the state, federal, right? Just to be able to keep your doors open and make sure that you're staying like on the right side of things, you know? But that's tedious for me.
Yeah.
I quickly learned that.
Bro, you're in sales, bro. ADHD. You're like, you're trying. Field, man. I'm trying to meet people.
Like, I could do that stuff, but I hate it. And I remember from like even T-Mobile, like I used to hate paperwork.
Yeah.
You know, it's just boring to me.
And you gotta show. Sometimes you gotta show your team members like, yeah, I hate this shit, but I'll do it.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, you know, like no matter what, at the end of the day, I'll be able to get my hands dirty and be able to make it work. But I think one of the main things I want to kind of pick your brain on as well, just wrapping everything up, is when you're starting your brokerage, like when you have so many different like jobs, like it's just crazy to me, like pick my brain about every single thing that you've done. What has been the most like fulfilling thing out of all the things that you've done? And now open up your own brokerage. Was that how much pride did you build and have, like, open up your own brokerage and be like, yo, this is my fucking brokerage, you know?
I mean, when you stop to think about it, it feels good, right? But as far as fulfilling, when I tell you that I enjoy going back, right, to like a friend or family's house, right, and seeing what they've done with what we got,
that's dope.
Like, man, like I'm having like, you know, friends like that I helped like get their places, right? Like just while they were just dating or while like freshly married, right? And now like it's a whole ass home with babies in there, like dogs. They decorated it, and it's like it's their domain. It's their headquarters, right?
100%.
Their cozy home sweet home. I love that. And then we talk about, you know, like, man, how much do you think I could sell this for? Like, man, dude, why would you even sell it?
Right.
You know, like, you're sitting here, if you got nowhere to go, like, you know, it's like, and they have, like, they're set up now with great equity in there.
Right.
Like, that really, like, it means a lot, right? Because, like, a lot of our parents and stuff like that, like how the deals and whatever, right? They didn't really know that they can, you know, kind of use like this home, right, to set you up for the next one. And if it was done a little bit more intentionally with some guidance, they might have had more equity,
100%.
or they might have been in a better area, neighborhood, whatever, right? So that seeing that kind of unfold, like, is like, it feels really good,
no,
you know.
100%.
Or, and then the other thing is when, whether it's an agent or like a friend that's trying to like do a flip or something like that, when they make money and they cash out, and you know, you see how much they made, and you know, like, in many cases it's more than what some people make in a year.
Yeah.
You know, over like 2-3 months, whatever. So that is, I love that.
100%.
Like, sincerely, because I've always told, like, man, even when I was first starting at T-Mobile, starting to see some real money at T-Mobile, or some good money at T-Mobile, I remember I would talk to like some of my friends, like, man, like, you could do this, you could do that, man. Imagine, like, because, like, you know, some, man, you bought this, or you're doing. I'm like, yeah, but you could do it too.
Right.
You know, like, imagine if you're doing it, like, we're all doing this together, and, you know, like, one day we're on your boat, one day, you know, we're on my boat, or whatever, right?
Right. But you got, sometimes you got to shift the perspective, because you think about it, right? You're talking to the individual who, your boy, even though he's your homie, like, his only experience has been college, has been class, has been this, right? Like, your perspective has shifted because you've seen so many different parts of life, so many different careers, so many people walk in, so many conversations that you had, so many different things that other individuals didn't have the opportunity to have. Not to say that they're not in a bad place, but I mean, obviously you're talking to college kids versus individuals who are coming to you to buy a phone that already have established careers, jobs,
Right.
that, you know, it's different levels of conversations that you're having that has opened your mind to a whole different realm. Like, I started this job while I was in college, so I understood that. Like, I was having conversations with people, and I'm like, oh shit, you made $80,000 on a flip in 3 months, like. And the interesting part about it is when you're talking about money, that's the one thing that I realize is that individuals who talk about money with confidence and just throwing around like 50,000, 80,000, it's just like, oh, what it almost sounds like it's just like 80,000, and they look at you like with a straight face, like, it's 80,000, and you're like, when I was 21 years old and I had someone, yeah, I made 8,000 a flip, whatever. And obviously, I'm playing it off. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, you made $80,000 in one flip? I was just like, oh, bro, that's dope. You know, continue the conversation. People skills, right? You don't want to, like, overly get, right? You want to kind of continue the conversation.
What are the kids calling now? They say they're glazing?
Glazing, yeah. You don't want to glaze them, bro. But at the same time, you're like, fuck, dude. And one thing I loved about it, though, he made $80,000 sound like $800.
You know what's crazy about that is that, you know, another part of the fulfilling thing, real quick, is, I mean, it's like, all right, so doing flips and stuff like that, and you've helped like other people do it, is how many people, like, I've been able to help, like, kind of chop away at their student loans.
Yeah.
Which was that's one thing, and then the other thing is, man, like, I have clients that, you know, that are doctors in some cases, like, they've done like high level media work with, like, you know, just in stuff, productions you see on TV and things like that. And then I've got clients that still undocumented, right? And they're making this money, you know, and they're seeing like that it's possible, you know. But what's tough is sometimes people have a hard time, like, kind of like discussing money, the way we grew up, like, oh, you don't talk about that. Yeah. But a lot of these circles I've been in, like that like a lot of friends, I mean, we talk openly about this stuff sometimes, like, you know, and it's not coming from like a bragging place or anything like that. Like how you're saying, like, you kind of had to like just make it, like, just keep the conversation going. But if you're curious, like, hey man, like, you know, what do I got to do? Like, you know, and that's where the, you know, free game, like, I'm big on free game.
100%.
And I get not everybody can kind of like wants to have these conversations and whatever, right? So fine, like, but if it comes up, like, yeah, you made 80 G's on, like, okay, cool. But it becomes that, you know, just being in these situations, you know.
If you surround yourself with individuals who are making $8,000 on a flip, it doesn't seem like it's crazy,
right?
Like if
and
that's
like,
all
man,
everyone's talking about, right?
Hey, I can help you get that to 120.
Right.
Use my guy.
Yeah.
You know. Oh, hey, well, I go buy materials over here.
Right.
And it's like, what? You know, but it's like you said, the perspective changed and the shift, you know.
Right.
But
if you had to, I always end every single podcast with this question, bro, because this is really important. If you had to have a conversation with the younger version of yourself, what would you tell them?
Man, I would tell them start reading sooner.
Yeah. Start
reading sooner, and let them know that, you know, just because you're going to school doesn't mean you're being educated. And I think like now that's like bigger than ever, right? Yeah. So, and to just kind of stay open-minded and just have these conversations, right? Start reading sooner, and I always say like the work in like a hospitality job sooner and a sales job, because I feel like if people work in hospitality and then they learn sales, like at a restaurant, and then say a sales job, like you're pretty much set. You know, you'll be. It's just dealing with people. That's the biggest thing, right? And in these two settings, you learn about people and how they are, and you learn that everybody sees things differently,
right?
And you know, it's like now, especially nowadays, like things are very like polarizing with this or that. You know, pick a side,
right?
If you dealt with people in a restaurant, I was busting when I was like 18, 19 on the side too, like just like to stay out of trouble. But you see the good of people, you see the nastiness in people, and you learn that it's not about you. It's about what they're, you know, people are going through shit. They're living life, you know.
Yeah.
They're living life, and the more you read, the more you just engage with people, you just realize that there's many pathways to success.
100%.
There's many different ways to do things, and younger me could have benefited from from reading important shit sooner, and not just being out hanging out in MySpace and Facebook and all that, gossiping, right? Like that's what that is a lot of times. But
it's all about opening your eyes, bro. It's all about hearing other things that spark your mind to think about how you're able to grow, because one conversation again can open up millions of doors that you had no idea about. One book, one quote, one podcast, one conversation, all those things collectively. Like if you're constantly having conversations, you're constantly reading books, you're constantly stimulating your mind, podcast, you're constantly doing it, almost like opening up your brain to a whole nother world of different ideas that you probably wouldn't have thought of on your own unless you have opened your mind to that, you know?
Right. Yeah, man. Exactly. Just engaging, embracing, right? Like just new things, like just making like friends when you can. Yeah. You know, and just being curious. Hey man, how'd you guys do that? This is nice, you know. Stuff, like,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Give a compliment if you feel like something's cool. Like just let them. Hey, this is like, for example, like right off the bat, this podcast way different than, you know, the first one we did.
Yeah.
You know, that went to the archives, you know. But
hey, was
this modeled after Wrigley or something? Like what?
Yeah, a little bit inspo from Wrigley. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, man, I feel like I've seen that before somewhere.
Nah, but bro, I really want to say I really do deeply appreciate your time. It's really cool, refreshing to see what time can, how much growth time can really show.
Man.
And man, cheers to much more success. For everyone that's watching, obviously he opened up his brokerage. You will have all his information, his page, and also his brokerage down below in the caption. So if you want to go check it out, you can go ahead and check the link. We appreciate every single one of you guys for joining us on today's podcast. If you have not already, you got to make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Take care, everybody.